how do you get your toddler to listen? I always think of this one story anytime somebody asks me about this, from when I was at the library a year or two ago. There was another dad there with a little toddler who was probably like 3 at the time, and they were getting ready to leave. We were in this little playroom, and the dad was like, okay, it's time to get your coat on, we're leaving. And immediately the little kid like sprints across the room to the other side, right? Like, toddlers love to test boundaries, they love to play. He was having so much fun, he was not ready to go. I could see the physical trigger in this dad at how he was immediately pissed that his little toddler was not listening, that he didn't immediately come over, obey him, put his coat on, and leave. And it was obvious in his body language. He went over, he grabbed his little toddler, and he was like wrestling him to the ground almost. Like, if you have a toddler, you've been there, it happens sometimes. You have to like wrestle them around a little bit to help them do stuff. That he was like, just put your coat on. Why can't you ever listen? Why can't you put your coat on? And the kid now goes from like laughing and playing to like screaming, tantruming, like dead body weight on the ground, like flailing around. The dad is getting more and more angry, obviously, because now it's harder and harder to get his toddler to put his coat on. And the whole thing turns into like the dad yelling, the toddler hysterically crying, melting down. And then after like 5 minutes of wrestling around, he picked him up and he kind of stormed out the door. This is not about me like judging that dad and thinking he was a bad parent or anything like that. This is simply me knowing that a lot of parents are missing some really important information when it comes to getting their toddlers to listen that would make your life easier, his life easier. The first is that if you want your toddler to listen, one, you need to come in and see their perspective. Genuinely be able to come in with connection first, whether that looks like playing or being silly or being playful or seeing, like noticing that your toddler's in the middle of doing something, and so not interrupting them and being like, hey, I'm gonna give them 2 minutes to finish what they're doing and then I'll let them know we need to go. Things like that. Genuinely like respecting your toddler, your little kid, as a person. And then number 2, knowing that toddlers developmentally have a very hard time with transitions, switching tasks, that forward momentum that comes up when it gets time to listen. And you have to be there to gently, calmly, kindly help them follow through. So this could look like seeing his little kid being like, hey, we're gonna leave in 1 minute. What's one last thing you wanna do before we go? Giving him a warning. After that one thing, being really close, knowing that you're probably gonna have to grab their hand or help them into their coat because their instinct is gonna be maybe to run away or keep playing. Okay, it's time to go. Do you wanna put your coat on by yourself or do you want me to help you? And now if they're like trying to run away, this is where you can come in with playfulness. I know, it's so fun here. Do you want to hop like a kangaroo out to the front door after we get our coat on? If after 1 minute of that, his toddler wasn't listening, wasn't getting the coat on himself, I would have picked him up and put him on my lap. I'm gonna help you. Calmly putting the coat on him, or picking up the coat, picking up the kid and walking out without the coat on, like that's totally fine too. Consistency with this, consistency with meeting your little ones where they're at and knowing that they're going to need you physically close to help them listen is the magic sauce. These 2 things are what's actually going to make your life so much easier moving forward, instead of feeling like, God, why can't I ever get my kid to listen? They're always ignoring me. They're never behaving. They're always disobeying. They're being disrespectful. They're doing their own thing. Nothing I say matters. Because you're working with their brain development. You're actually teaching them to listen and to be respectful back to you through this modeling.